must confess that the reading from the Torah, from Scripture for this morning is one of my favorites. And it is in poetry, which is an example of biblical poetry going back thousands of years. I have often speculated that people probably might have started singing before speaking. We know that even there's a song of the dinosaurs as birds. And as soon as humans could learn how to speak and put words together, there was this impulse for poetry. And poetry in the ancient Near East goes all the way back to the Sumerians about 3000 BCE. There's an interesting book, if you read German, by Wolfgang von Soden, Sumerische Hymnen und Gebeten, Sumerian hymns and prayers. In the Bible, this particular Torah portion, the poetry exhibits what is called parallelism, which curiously enough is also found in Anglo-Saxon early poetry, which means that there are many ways in which this parallelism appears, so that there is the simple parallelism where the first part of the verse is repeated in the second part of the verse. That could be supplemental. Then sometimes it's antithetical. The first part of the verse is actually negated by the second part of the verse. And then there's even a more complex type of parallelism known as chiv, from the Greek letter, looks like an X. In other words, it goes, if you could, A1, B1, B2, A2. And this is found. It has been noticed that there has been some rhyme in Hebrew poetry, but it really didn't have any type of real dominance. And rhyme and actually Arabic meter was brought into Hebrew poetry in Spain by Dunash ibn Labrat, who came from the Berber territories of northern Africa. And Dunash, who lived from about 920 to 990, was the first poet to also bring in the Arabic meters, the mushwakhin. There's one Arabic meter which actually imitates the way a camel walks. But the hero, or I should say one of the most unbelievably prolific and magnificent poets of Spain, of the Golden Age of Spain, who was probably really unknown, is Rabbi Shlomo ibn Gabirol. Shlomo ibn Gabirol lived a very short life. He was born around 1020, and they figured that he died around sometimes 1050. He led a miserable life, but he was a rather arrogant fellow. There's one poem in which he says, Ani hasav ashir li melech, I am the prince, and the poem is my slave. And he said that was written when he was 16 years of age. An unbelievable genius. And so I thought I would bring to you this, which is his most famous work, the Keter Malchut, the Royal Crown. And what's interesting is, under a sort of a transmogrification of his name, Ibn Gabirol, he was known in Christian Europe as Avicebron, and was one of the great influences on the Neoplatonic school of philosophy in the Middle Ages. And no one knew that he was really Jewish until a scholar by the name of Salomon Munk in 1846 in the National Bibliothèque in Paris figured out that Avicebron was none other than Shlomo ibn Gabirol. I thought I had given you a translation, but I see that what I gave you in the English is not really a translation. So if you'll suffer me, I will read the beginning of this very long poem with the crown of the kingdom. Actually, it's not the royal crown, it's rather the crown of the kingdom. Betilati yiskon gave, with my prayer a man will profit. Kiva yomad yoshes chut, because in it he will learn righteousness and merit. Sipati ba milei el chai, I have spoken of the wonders of the living God. Biksara ach lo barichut, in short and not in length. Samtiha al rosh mahalali, I have put it as the top of all my praise. Ukratiha Keter Malchut, and I called it the crown of the kingdom. Nifla'im ma'asecha v'nafshi yodat ma'od. Your works are wondrous, and I know them so well. L'cha na'agadula v'hagvura tiferet netzach hachov, that's a quote from the prayers. To you is the greatness, the might, the beauty, and the eternity and the glory. For you, O Lord, is the kingship and the sovereignty for all, and the highest, all the wealth and the honor. To you, the creatures of heaven and earth give testimony, because they will perish and you will remain. To you is the might which in its secret our thoughts find it difficult to comprehend. Because you are so much stronger than us. To you is the mystery of power and the mystery of mysteries. To you is the hidden name from even men of wisdom. And the strength and the endurance that hangs the world on nothing. And the power to bring forth to light all that is hidden. It is to you the loving kindness which overpowers all that are created. And the hidden goodness which is for those who fear you. To you is the secrets which cannot even compass intelligence and thought. And the eternity which has no end. And the throne which is uplifted upon all above. And the pleasant dwelling place which is secret in the darkness. To you is the giving of existence, on which from its shadow of its light everything exists. As we have said, in his shadow we shall live. To To you are the two worlds which you have placed between them a division, Harishon Lamasim Vasheni Legimul, the first for action and the second for recompense, talking about heaven and earth. L'cha Gamul Asher Ganasa Latzadihim V'Talimehu, to you is the recompense which you have treasured away for the righteous and have hidden it. V'Tere'oto Ki Tovhu V'Titzmanehu, and you saw that it was good and you hid it. And it goes on and on and on in this particular fashion, and is one of the most magnificent works of Hebrew poetry coming from the golden age of Spain. Amongst all of the great poets, perhaps you know, perhaps more, Yehuda Halevi, but Shlomo ibn Gabirol was considered a master of them all, and actually lived in such a short and I might say miserable life, but within that short and miserable life in which he suffered both physically and economically, he created some of the greatest poetry that is in our possession. Page 155, we rise from Musaf Kaddish.
ויתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חורם ומחון ומחרח בישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבם מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמי יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ותרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמד קודשה בריחו לאלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה. דמירה